So commonly, we're engaged by leadership teams because they have some type of big problem or opportunity that they need to align and make some decisions on. And a lot of times, these problems or opportunities are culturally based within their organization. And cultures are complicated because they're changing all the time based on what somebody's values, behaviors, and beliefs might be. And so it's helpful for leadership teams to have information directly from their stakeholders so that they can make informed decisions when they're, let's say, going to spend a lot of capital on something and they've got a board that's watching what they're doing and they need to be able to prove why they're going to lay out an extreme amount of capital to make some change that maybe will help enhance the culture so that it maybe will help enhance efficacy of their team. So I'm thinking, Megan, of a couple of clients that we've worked with this year where they were struggling with, let's say, trust internally. This happens a lot of times where there's a wide disparity between job function, education level, where, maybe values are disparate.
We've had conversations about the disparity in experience and therefore perception on what the solution should be. Sometimes it can be spatial, sometimes it can be behavioral, but there's not a common language between either different departments. And sometimes that shows up at a leadership table itself and not being able to make a decision or align because each leader is there as a representative of their function as well as of the organization. And that's a really fine line to toe because you want to be an advocate for your people, and you have the responsibility of being a good steward of the organization, sometimes answering to a board. That's really, really hard to do. And sometimes it can result in it looking like the silos that have happened within the departments can show itself at a leadership table, and then it's really hard to make a decision there because priorities are so different.
When I think about you talking about that, I'm thinking about a really concrete example where we have a leadership team sitting in an entirely separate building from a field team. While both groups of people express security, they work in an industry where they're under a lot of pressure and security from outside factors is important. In the building where the leadership team sits, glass to that building is bulletproof. In the building where the field team sits, it's not. While maybe is known by the leadership team, it's maybe not understood what message that's sending the field team. And so it's not that they don't care about that. It's probably, like you said, just the lack of exposure and time in the building where the field team sits. And that sort of power dynamic and bringing that experiential understanding, do they think that there's going to be bullets flying into either of these buildings all the time? I hope not. But even without that, it still is sending a message to the group that's in the second building. And it's those kinds of qualitative facts, I think, that leadership teams appreciate because they just can't always see it firsthand.
Yeah, and they can't see it firsthand. And, again, it is their job to make sure everybody keeps their jobs or to make sure that the company survives at a very high level. And so their focus is often external. And so taking that moment, and we don't have a lot of time always with leaders to really pack a punch and talk about the impact of this decision, both in terms of trust and if you take your time because you're feeling inertia, whether it's not the most pressing thing on your plate right now or you can't figure out how to make a decision as a group or whatever it may be, is then perceived and felt as, well, they're not going to do anything. This was all performative. And so it's that idea of what's a small thing you could do to show this is something that's important to us right now. This is what we can do. And, moving forward, then reiterate some of those small steps that you can take toward a bigger change.